Today, I want to talk to you about a simple but powerful idea: stop thinking, start doing. Too often, we let overthinking become the enemy of progress. We spend so much time planning, doubting, and imagining worst-case scenarios that we never actually take the first step. We wait for the perfect time. We wait until we feel ready. We wait for a sign. But here's the truth: action creates clarity. You don't need to have it all figured out to begin. You just need to begin. Every great achievement started with someone who was unsure, but they took action anyway. Every goal you've been putting off is waiting on the other side of your first step. So stop waiting for motivation. Start moving, stop overanalyzing, start experimenting, stop thinking about what if, start creating what is, because progress doesn't come from thought alone, it comes from doing. Let today be the day you stop thinking and start doing. Your future self is already thanking you. One of the biggest obstacles to success is the illusion of perfection. We often convince ourselves that we can't begin until everything is just right: the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect conditions. But here's the harsh truth: perfection is a myth, and chasing it is often just a sophisticated form of procrastination. We tell ourselves, "I'll start when I know more," or "I'll launch this idea once it's flawless," or "I'll begin when I feel completely ready." But those conditions rarely come. More often than not, waiting for perfection leads to missed opportunities and delayed dreams. We end up sitting on the sidelines, watching others take action, flawed, messy action, and move ahead while we're still planning. Think about the most successful people you admire. They didn't wait until everything was perfectly lined up. They started with what they had. They stumbled. They made mistakes, but they learned, adjusted, and kept moving forward. Their success was not built on perfection. It was built on progress. Taking action, even when things are messy or incomplete, forces you to engage with reality. It pushes you to test your ideas, to make decisions, to grow through real-world feedback. You can always refine as you go, but you can't improve something that doesn't exist. No plan, no matter how well thought out, will ever matter as much as the willingness to act. And ironically, it's through action that excellence eventually emerges. Not from overthinking, but from doing, failing, learning, and repeating. When you stop waiting for perfect and start embracing the imperfect beginning, you set yourself on a path of momentum that perfection can never give you. Done is always better than perfect. Progress is more powerful than potential, and real growth comes not from thinking about the ideal outcome, but from taking real, imperfect steps toward it. Overthinking is like quicks, and for the mind, the more you struggle with thoughts, the deeper you sink. While reflection and planning have their place, constantly turning things over in your mind can paralyze you. What begins as careful consideration quickly spirals into a flood of doubts, what-ifs, and worst-case scenarios. Before you even take the first step, fear has already taken root, fueled entirely by thoughts that may never become reality. The human brain is incredibly powerful. It can imagine infinite possibilities. But when left unchecked, it often imagines everything that could go wrong. What if I fail? What if people laugh at me? What if I lose money? What if it doesn't work? These questions, repeated in a loop, create a kind of mental noise that drowns out courage and silences initiative. Fear, in this context, is not born from real danger. It's born from imagined consequences. It's built in the mind, not the world. The more time you spend thinking without acting, the more vivid and convincing your fears become. It's like feeding a monster with your attention. It grows stronger the longer you focus on it. What's worse, overthinking often disguises itself as responsibility. You tell yourself you're just being thorough, being cautious, making sure it's the right move. But what's really happening is that fear is hiding behind the mask of logic. Instead of helping you make better decisions, it keeps you stuck in a cycle of inaction. This is why so many people with great ideas never execute them. It's not a lack of intelligence or ambition. It's a paralysis caused by too much thinking. You can brainstorm for weeks, read every book, ask for endless advice, and still never move forward if fear dominates your thinking process. The only thing that breaks this cycle is action. Action interrupts overthinking. It grounds you in the present. It shows you that the world is usually less threatening than your thoughts made it seem. Once you take a step, even a small one, the mental fog begins to lift. You start to realize that most fears are exaggerated, and that doing, even imperfectly, is far more effective than endlessly planning in your head. In the end, the cure for overthinking is movement. When you act, you shift from imagination to experience, and that shift is where real confidence begins. Confidence is often misunderstood as something you're either born with or not. But the truth is, confidence is built one step at a time, and momentum is the fuel that builds it. Waiting to feel confident before taking action is like waiting to get warm before you light the fire. It's backward. Confidence doesn't come before doing. It comes because of doing. Momentum is the invisible force that pushes you forward once you've taken that first, often difficult, step. It starts small, maybe with a single task, a small decision, or a basic habit. But as you repeat that action and begin to see progress, no matter how small, something powerful begins to happen. You start to believe in yourself, you realize you're capable, you start trusting your ability to figure things out as you go. Think of it like riding a bike. At first it's wobbly, you're unsure, you might fall, but as you keep pedaling, your balance improves, your movements become smoother, you gain speed, and before long, what once felt shaky becomes second nature. That's momentum in action, and it's the same with any personal or professional goal. The beauty of momentum is that it doesn't require perfection or massive effort to start. It just needs consistency. One action leads to another. One completed task gives you the confidence to tackle the next. This accumulation of small wins shifts your mindset from, "Can I do this?" to "I am doing this." Momentum also protects you from overthinking and doubt. When you're in motion, you have less time to second-guess yourself. You're too busy doing, adapting, learning, and improving. You begin to feel a rhythm in your work, a flow in your effort, and that rhythm becomes your source of internal motivation. Even on tough days when motivation fades and the initial excitement is gone, momentum carries you forward. It becomes the habit that pushes you to keep going, even when you don't feel like it. It's the invisible engine behind personal growth, achievement, and most importantly, lasting self-confidence. Momentum isn't magic, it's just action repeated. And the more you repeat it, the more you reinforce the belief that you're capable, resilient, and moving in the right direction. One of the most common misconceptions we face when embarking on a new venture or pursuing a new goal is that we need to have everything perfectly clear before we begin. We convince ourselves that we need to have a step-by-step roadmap, a full understanding of every possible outcome, and a guaranteed sense of direction before taking that first step. But the reality is that clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. You might have heard the phrase, "the road to success is paved with mistakes." While that may sound like a cliche, there's truth to it. The more we do, the more we see. The more we engage with our projects, ideas, or goals, the clearer the path becomes. When we stay stuck in our heads, crafting plans and predicting outcomes, we're not interacting with the real world. We're interacting with our assumptions. And assumptions can often be inaccurate, incomplete, or even downright misleading. The first step is always the hardest, not because of the actual effort required, but because it's the moment where uncertainty peaks. But once we take that step, we begin to gain feedback, we begin to learn what works and what doesn't, and we start to see what the next step should be. This feedback loop, born from taking action, is what gradually creates clarity. Consider any creative process. Whether it's writing a book, launching a business, or starting a fitness routine, the first draft, the first prototype, or the first attempt is never perfect. It's usually rough, full of flaws, and perhaps not even close to the final vision. However, through action, through actually engaging with the task at hand, the vision begins to sharpen. The more you create, the more you refine your ideas. You begin to see where adjustments are needed, where you might be going off track, and where you need to pivot. This process cannot happen in your mind alone. Think of it like navigating in the dark with a flashlight. When you stand still, you can't see much and you're unsure of where to go, but as you take a step and move forward, the beam of light shifts, revealing new paths and new obstacles, allowing you to adjust and find your way. It's only by taking those small steps that the world around you begins to reveal itself. Doing also brings an additional benefit. It uncovers the unknown unknowns. These are the things we don't even realize we need to know until we start. For example, you might think you need a certain skill to succeed, only to find that you need an entirely different skill, or maybe an unexpected obstacle emerges that no amount of planning could have predicted. Doing forces you to confront these gaps and fill them. It's like solving a puzzle. You don't always know where the pieces go until you start putting them together. In essence, clarity isn't something you find by waiting. It's something you uncover through action. You start with a general idea, take the first step, and along the way, you gain the wisdom, feedback, and insights that bring everything into focus. Without action, clarity is just an idea, a wish, a dream. But with action, clarity becomes a result, a discovery, a realization of what is possible and what needs to change. And in the process, you become more confident in your ability to navigate uncertainty. You realize that the perfect plan isn't the key to success. The ability to adapt, to adjust, and to keep moving forward in the face of uncertainty is what truly brings clarity. Motivation is often seen as the secret ingredient for success. We hear people say things like, "I'll start working once I feel motivated," or "If only I could find my motivation, I could get this done." The truth is, motivation is unreliable, and waiting for it to strike before taking action can keep you stuck. Motivation can be fleeting. It comes in bursts, it fades, and it often arrives at inconvenient times. It's like trying to wait for the perfect wind to fill your sails. It doesn't always blow when you need it. The problem with relying on motivation is that it's external, it's a feeling. Some days you may feel fired up and ready to conquer your goals, but other days you'll feel drained, uninspired, and unmotivated. If you only take action when you feel motivated, you're leaving your success up to chance. That's a dangerous game to play because, in the long run, waiting for motivation means delaying progress. This is where discipline comes in. Unlike motivation, discipline is not based on how you feel. Discipline is about doing the work whether you're in the mood for it or not. It's the ability to show up consistently, day after day, even when your energy or enthusiasm isn't at its peak. While motivation might push you to work hard for a short time, discipline ensures that you continue even when the excitement fades. Discipline is the muscle that keeps you moving forward when motivation is absent. It's about creating habits and routines that allow you to make progress despite how you feel. For example, think about people who commit to fitness. There are days when they don't feel like working out. They're tired, stressed, or just don't feel like it, but their discipline, whether it's a regular workout schedule or a commitment to their health, drives them to keep going. They don't wait for motivation. They rely on the discipline they've built over time. Discipline helps you push through the moments of doubt and fatigue. It's the foundation of long-term success because it's built on the principle that progress comes from doing the work consistently, regardless of emotional highs and lows. This is why so many successful people speak about the importance of habits and routines. They understand that motivation is just a spark, but discipline is what fuels the fire over time. When you cultivate discipline, you are making a commitment to your goals, regardless of how you feel at any given moment. It's about knowing that every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. In fact, discipline often creates its own momentum. The more you act out of discipline, the more your mind and body start to adjust. Over time, the very act of doing becomes easier and more natural, and you may even start to feel motivated simply because you've built such a strong routine. Another benefit of discipline is that it builds resilience. The more you show up and keep going, even when it's tough, the more you reinforce your ability to handle adversity. You learn that your actions don't have to be dictated by your emotional state. You can trust yourself to do the work regardless of how you feel. This inner strength is what makes disciplined people unshakable. They know that even when the going gets hard, they can rely on their discipline to keep them on track. In fact, discipline is often what separates those who achieve their goals from those who don't. Motivation will get you started, but it's discipline that will keep you going. And when you combine discipline with the right mindset, You begin to realize that you don't need motivation to achieve success. You simply need the habit of showing up, putting in the work, and continuing no matter what. Failure is often seen as something to be avoided at all costs. Society tends to glorify success and perfection, while failure is cast in a negative light. We fear it, we try to prevent it, and we're often ashamed of it when it happens. But the truth is, failure is not the opposite of success. It's a crucial part of the journey toward success. In fact, failure is one of the most powerful teachers you can have in your pursuit of personal growth and achievement. First, it's important to understand that failure is inevitable. No one gets everything right on the first try. Whether it's a failed business idea, a botched presentation, or a workout routine that didn't go as planned, failure is a natural part of the learning process. The key is how we respond to failure. If we view it as the end of the road, we will miss out on the incredible lessons that failure can provide. But if we view failure as a stepping stone, a lesson in disguise, we can turn it into one of the most valuable assets in our journey. Failure offers real-time feedback. When something doesn't work, it reveals what went wrong. It shows us where we made mistakes, what assumptions we had, and what gaps in knowledge or skills need to be addressed. Without failure, we would never have the opportunity to analyze and reflect on our actions. This is why the most successful people are often those who have failed the most. They've been through the process of learning from their mistakes, adjusting their approach, and continuing forward. Each failure offers a chance to improve and refine your methods, making you stronger, wiser, and more capable for the future. Let's break it down further. Imagine you're trying to start a business. You do your research, create your plan, and launch your product. But for whatever reason, it doesn't take off. At first, it may feel like a crushing blow. You might feel discouraged, like you've wasted your time and energy. But here's the thing. That failure is a data point. It tells you something about your approach, your product, your market, or your execution. Maybe the timing was wrong. Maybe your target audience wasn't clear. Maybe your marketing strategy was ineffective. The key is to look at that failure objectively, gather what information you can from it, and apply it to your next attempt. Failure forces you to look at the reality of the situation, rather than the idealized version you might have had in your head. In many ways, failure is actually more instructive than success. When things go wrong, they often reveal more about our weaknesses and areas for growth than when things go right. Success can sometimes be deceiving. It can lead to complacency or a false sense of mastery. But failure, when approached with the right mindset, can be incredibly humbling and revealing. It strips away the illusions and forces you to confront what didn't work and why. But perhaps the most important lesson that failure teaches us is resilience. Every time we fail and get back up, we strengthen our ability to cope with adversity. We learn that failure is not a permanent condition, it's a temporary setback. The ability to get back up, dust yourself off, and try again is what separates those who ultimately succeed from those who give up. Resilience is not about avoiding failure. It's about bouncing back from it, learning from it, and continuing forward with renewed strength and clarity. Another valuable lesson failure teaches us is adaptability. When things don't go as planned, we're forced to pivot, adjust, and change our approach. In the face of failure, we are often presented with opportunities to explore new strategies, refine our skills, and discover better ways of doing things. If you're committed to growth, failure will force you to evolve. It challenges you to stretch your comfort zone, take risks, and experiment in ways you never would have if everything had gone according to plan. In the long run, failure helps you develop a growth mindset, the belief that your abilities can be developed through hard work, learning, and perseverance. This mindset is essential for long-term success. People with a growth mindset see failure not as a reflection of their capabilities, but as an opportunity to improve. They understand that mistakes are part of the process and that each setback brings them closer to their ultimate goals. Ultimately, failure is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. When we stop viewing failure as a roadblock and start seeing it as a tool for learning and growth, it becomes a powerful ally in our pursuit of success. Every failed attempt brings us closer to our goal, provided we choose to learn from it and keep going. The more we fail, the more we grow, and the closer we get to realizing our full potential. We often hear that time is money, but the truth is, time is far more valuable than money. While money can be earned, saved, and invested, time is a finite, non-renewable resource. Once it's gone forever. Yet too often we act as though we have an unlimited supply. We put off important tasks, waste time on distractions, and convince ourselves that we can always do it tomorrow. The harsh reality is, time waits for no one, and the longer we delay taking action, the less time we have to create the life we want. The most successful people in the world are not necessarily the wealthiest or the most talented. They are simply the ones who understand and respect the value of their time. They prioritize what truly matters and take deliberate steps every day to move closer to their goals. They don't squander time on trivial distractions, and they don't wait for the perfect moment to act. Instead, they make the most of every moment, recognizing that time is a resource that cannot be replenished. When you understand that time is your most valuable resource, it changes the way you approach life. It forces you to make intentional choices about how you spend your time. Every day, you are faced with countless decisions about how to allocate your time, and each decision has an impact on your future. Will you spend an hour watching a TV show, or use that time to work on a personal project? Will you scroll through social media for an hour, or will you invest that time in learning a new skill? Every moment is an opportunity to invest in your future or to waste it. The key to making the most of your time is intention. When you live intentionally, you make conscious choices about how you spend your time based on your priorities and goals, rather than reacting to external circumstances or distractions. This requires a level of discipline, self-awareness, and focus. You have to recognize where your time is being drained, whether it's by unproductive habits, time-consuming distractions, or activities that don't align with your values, and take proactive steps to eliminate or minimize them. In today's fast-paced, hyper-connected world, distractions are everywhere. Social media, emails, notifications, and entertainment options all compete for our attention, constantly pulling us away from what really matters. Multitasking has become the norm, but in reality, it only depletes our time and energy. The more we try to juggle multiple tasks at once, the less time we actually spend focusing on what's important. The result is often a sense of overwhelm and frustration because we are constantly scattered, never fully immersed in one thing, the solution, single, tasking, focusing on one thing at a time with full attention. This allows us to work more efficiently, make better decisions, and ultimately save time in the long run. Another powerful tool in maximizing your time is time blocking. Time blocking involves scheduling specific blocks of time for different tasks and activities, ensuring that you dedicate uninterrupted focus to each task. By structuring your day in this way, you not only ensure that you make progress on your most important tasks, but you also protect your time from being hijacked by distractions or unnecessary commitments. Time blocking can help you reclaim your time from the chaos of everyday life and focus on what really matters. It's also important to recognize that time is not just for productivity. While it's crucial to be efficient and purposeful with your time, it's equally important to make room for rest, relaxation, and recreation. Burnout is a real risk when we constantly push ourselves to be productive without taking time for self-care. Time for reflection, relaxation, and recharging is essential for maintaining long-term energy, creativity, and focus. Work-life balance is not just a buzzword, it's a necessity for sustainable success. Additionally, time management requires self-discipline. You have to be able to say no to things that don't align with your goals or values. Saying no is one of the most important skills you can develop because it allows you to protect your time and focus on what truly matters. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your purpose, you are saying no to something more important. Learning to set boundaries and manage your time with intention gives you the power to create the life you want. The reality is, time is the only resource you can never get back. Once a day is gone, it's gone forever. So the question becomes, How are you spending your time? Are you spending it on things that move you closer to your dreams? Are you investing in your personal growth, your relationships, and your goals, or are you letting time slip away on distractions and trivial pursuits? When you start to view time as the most valuable resource you have, you will begin to make choices that reflect that understanding. You'll prioritize what matters most, cut out the noise, and focus on actions that bring you closer to your desired future. Time may be limited, but when used wisely, it can become the foundation of a life well lived.